See, right now, I get into such a system and such a process of serving so many other people, coaching all these other people in business and real estate and credit, that it comes off very natural to be in that coaching.
Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott, and today I'm going to be covering a huge learning curve that I could have potentially lost over $4 million. $4 million in a learning curve that I am going to share with you guys, ideally so that you don't fall into the trap that I almost did, right? It was actually close to 5 million. It's $4,780,000 in profits that I was leaving dangling for a little too long. And I'm still in the mix of it, right? I'm still in the very middle of it. However, I can see the end coming a heck of a lot closer. And so I just want to encourage you guys. This episode is going to be for people to get them out of their own way, to be able to focus on what really matters, the purpose of this, the purpose that you're looking for, the stream of income that you're looking for, the business, the goal, what's tugging on your heart, what's tugging on your gut, what's been in your mind for too damn long. We're going to be talking about that today in this episode. But before we jump into that, just wanted to check in and I'm praying that you guys all had an incredibly amazing 4th of July, that you guys got to celebrate our Independence Day here in America with friends, family, with just celebrating with good food, with good people, good atmosphere, didn't get too much sunburn, didn't have any crazy fireworks, blow ups or, hospital events or any of that nasty stuff. Praying that you guys all had an incredible fireworks show and I got to soak it up with friends and family. Jen and I got to do exactly that. We got to hang out with some of her family, with some of our friends, and have a few people over at our house. Didn't get to jump in the pool yet. We're still working on the pool. We actually just had an electrician over yesterday. So during the other day, early morning before all the festivities began for 4th of July. But after that, today had the pool people over, getting things started. They're going to finalize everything later on this week and the beginning of the week, which we're super stoked on. And then ideally we can jump in sometime this week, which we're pumped on. But anyway, let's get down to it. I was running these numbers recently and I was blown away, absolutely blown away by how much chaos I bring to myself. And I know I'm not the only one, right? I know I'm not the only person in this human experience making all the errors out there, right? And if it is just me, then it is just me. I'll talk to myself on this one. But what I can assume is that we get in our own way quite frequently. Quite frequently, we can talk ourselves out of the most incredible things at the end of the day, right? Leaving your job and going all in on that business idea that you've wanted to, that you've been having the strategy and the plans and all these things, fresh downloads on a regular basis to be able to start, grow, scale, you name it, right? To be able to go all in, and we haven't because we're terrified or we're shaking or we're scared in some form or fashion. What I can tell you is this, that I literally almost made over a $4 million mistake, a huge learning curve that I'm looking forward to seeing through completely to actually reap those benefits, but also to identify them sooner than later moving forward so that I can get out of the way a heck of a lot sooner. And what I mean by that is this. There's seasons in life that you go through, like initially jumping into real estate, buying a lot of my portfolio, building up, doing the BRRRR strategy, right? So buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, doing all of that, having no money into it, cash flowing very well, tax benefits, all the things over in another state such as Ohio, right? And it was great having a dozen plus properties and making $10,000 a month, right? Great. The mortgages are a couple $100 each. When one is rented out, brings in over 1,000, right? Great. They play the 3-4% rule very quick and easily, right? With that being said, what was great 10 years ago can be different, not for everybody, but can look different in today's market, in today's day and age, in today, right now with my current goals, right? And so currently we have a thriving business. We have other streams of income and so forth. And what was amazing back in 2015, and I needed cash flow. I needed something on the side. I needed something that overpaid my day job, which my day job was just serving in restaurants, right? I made about $1,900 on paper. I probably walked away with closer to $3,400 a month, I believe. That's what it was. That was per month. But my real estate portfolio that I built up over about 2 years, that produced about $10,000 a month, right? And so I still kept on in the job for a while until my heart and passion were overwhelmingly favored on the real estate side. I'm taking all these phone calls and all these business things, and eventually got fired from my day job, right? First time getting fired, but I got fired in the restaurant industry because I cared more about and got more excited, and like my heart and passion was on the real estate side, right? I was clocked in on the restaurant side, but not serving that boss the way that I truly should have. And he did exactly what he should have. He fired me. He got me the hell out of there. What happened afterwards was instantly within that week, it was literally 2 days later, 2 to 3 days later, I had a business meeting that had turned into a $160,000 blessing. Okay. There was also learning curves within that as well. But at the end of the day, years later, it turned into a $160,000 blessing, just like that. And that was my biggest one at once at the time. That's huge, huge. The monthly cash flow is what I needed, like a subscription model to take care of bills, to bring peace of mind, to be able to bring security, if you will. Like that was great. But then having a big payoff was like filling up the bank account, and it made me feel good. Like it was like, wow, this is really working. This is really cool. This is confirmation that wasting my time in something that I wasn't happy with, that I just hung on to because that's all I knew. And it made me feel comfortable having security. And I was addicted to going back, but I wasn't happy there. I was complaining all day working in the restaurant. Like I was geeking out on this real estate stuff and, going full time into that, what that looks like. I didn't know at the time, but I knew that it felt good and I was super geeked out on it. I was excited as hell. And so once I got out of my own way, and it wasn't my own way, it was my boss letting me go because I wasn't serving him the way that I should have, then opened up all this other opportunity. So that was one aspect. Now, fast forward 10 years later, just like anything in life, things change, goals change, life change, right? And so we have new financial goals, new financial hurdles, new levels, new devils, right? They say. And nothing's demonic, nothing's devil. Like it's so many blessings over blessings is what I would say. But I have opportunity now because we own all this real estate, not just over in Ohio, in all these other states, New Jersey, Arizona, and then with partnerships, and then also in San Diego. And so these San Diego properties are all doing amazing. They're all great. They're not cheap, but we're getting all of our money back, right? Doing the burst strategy out here. Like who would have thought? While all these other investors are moving out of California, moving out of San Diego, we're taking territory over here and it's adding up, right? And so It's a big piece of our net worth in general, 14 million in real estate assets. A majority of that is just out here in San Diego. Everything's a million plus, right? And so when we have residential multifamily, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, it's great. It adds up. However, the single family houses or even the duplexes that we have, there's opportunity there where we can build because of the city restrictions and guidelines and requirements. We can actually, we're incentivized to build ADUs, excessive dwelling units. And an ADU is simply just building another property on the same parcel in your backyard, for example. So if you got some space, you can build a property there. It's pretty crazy. And so you can turn a single family house into a duplex if you got a backyard, right? Or a triplex or a fourplex or any of those things. So what we've come to find is, hey, we can start pulling these permits and get things ready. And so we're doing that on 2 properties. One is a place that we just moved from. We actually had that property as a duplex. And so big backyard. We were going to put just 2 units there, but then we found out we could actually put 4 units there. We could build 4 units in the backyard and turn the whole parcel into 6 units. And so that was the plan. That is the plan. And so we're actually going to be able to add 4,000 square feet there, which is pretty powerful. And the square footage, the ARV should be around $925,000 a square foot. $925 per square foot. That's a lot, And so I'll break down the numbers more in just a moment. And then we have another property. So let me talk about the other property for a second. Just 7 minutes down the road in a beautiful location where, there's a rooftop deck. It's a single family house, does have a detached garage. Incredible location. You can see ocean views, bay views, and then fireworks every single night from SeaWorld. Pretty amazing, right? Amazing stuff. Beautiful layout inside. It's nice, just great location, right? Cool property, some airflow, just great sun, everything, all these things, right? Fenced in yard. This is another property that we'll be able to build. It's a single family house with a detached garage. We're going to build 2 units in the back, and then we're going to convert the garage into a 3rd unit. So that'll be with the single family house as is. That's going to turn, adding 3 more units there, turn it into 4 units in total, and be able to build an extra 2,850 square feet. 2,850 square feet. I mean, that stuff adds up. It's crazy. And that's in a location that it is going to be worth about $1,100 a square foot afterwards. $1,100 per square foot afterwards. Right? And so just taking both of these numbers, adding almost 3,000 square feet, adding 4,000 square feet to the other, one of them, the ARV is going to be, and this isn't taking into consideration the properties that are already there and the equity that we have in them, which with one of them, it's about $1 million. The other one, it's about 3/4 million, like 750,000. Powerful stuff. At least it could be almost $1 million in that one too. But check this out. One of them, the ARV, the extra, what it'll appraise at afterwards, is going to be a little over 3 million. The other one is going to be almost 4 million. It's going to be 3.7 million ARV. Now, don't get me wrong. The cost to be able to build these out, one of them will be $855,000 to build out, and the other one will be $1.2 million to build out. Okay, that's not cheap money. That's, withholding cost and miscellaneous and permits and so forth, which I've already coughed up hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to get these going, and the holding costs and so forth. But we're going to have to raise about $2 million with my own skin in the game and so forth, and everything that I've already put up and the properties. And it's a no risk for the simple fact everything's an investment. So it's like there's always some kind of risk. But with this, I'm personally guaranteeing it. And we already own the properties. Like we already have $1 million plus in equity for each one. Like I've already done the due diligence. I already have reserves for the monthly payments. When we get these permits, we're going to have the ability to get a lender if we wanted to give us the money to build these out. Or I can just raise $2 million and do it ourselves, right? And that's probably the bet that we're going to want to go with, just for the simple fact that we can bless mom and pops versus, big corporate lenders, right? But we're actually going to profit on one of them, $2.5 million in profits, and the other one almost 2.3. It's going to be 2.280. So almost 2.3 million and the other one 2.5. In total, it's a little less than $4.8 million in profit. Okay? That's a big, big deal. Leaving almost $5 million of profit on the sideline. And when I say leaving it, I'm saying that for the simple fact of it could have been done. It could have already happened. It could have taken place. Why it didn't is not beyond me. I would love to say that, but it's not beyond me. It's the simple fact of where you put your time and attention is where you'll see your fruit, right? And so when you have a million things that you're juggling and distractions, if you're taking notes right now, write that down, distractions, they will keep you from what's right in front of you. They will keep you blind to what is actually right in front of you, that God is setting you up for a huge alley-oop. There's new levels to everything. And so if you're not paying attention properly, you're missing out on things. And of course, I knew that this is going to be helpful. I knew this is going to be great. What I didn't know is going to take 3, 4 years, 5 years. And that's how long it's been taking, and it doesn't need to. That's what I'm trying to preach here. It doesn't need to. But because I haven't put the right time, attention, energy, efforts, and I was getting distracted by what originally got us started, isn't what's going to get us to the finish line, right? It isn't going to get us to that next level. Just because of where we started was investing, utilizing credit cards and utilizing cash, really credit cards, to be able to buy investment properties over in Ohio, and they cash flow and all the great things, right? That those distractions at this point aren't going to take us to where we need to be, because I don't need an extra $10,000 per month right now. I don't. And I don't say that disrespectfully or like ignorantly at all. I understand $10,000 extra per month is like the goal for almost everybody out there. It is. And shoot, I wouldn't mind an extra $10,000 a month if it wasn't taking me away from almost a $5 million payout. Does that make sense? It's understanding where you put your time, energy, and efforts, you're going to see the fruit from. And so because I was focused heavily on Credit Counsel Elite, which is a blessing, it's my purpose. I love giving back and showing other people how to be able to turn the flipping the script on the banks and getting these banks to give up the money, not PM, but OBM, other banks' money, not other people's money, but other banks' money, learning how to do that confidently, boldly, securely, and then being able to invest, start a business, grow a business, scale a business, whatever it may be. I love that stuff, showing my journey and how they can do it without all the headache and hassle and stress, right? Sleep better. I love that because that's my passion, and it's been a blessing. But what I don't like is the time, energy, efforts that I was focusing on for years per month, several hours, 4 or 5 hours per month on an area like Ohio where there's seasons and levels of everything out of that level, and I'm past that season. So I shouldn't be wasting my time anymore with it. Now we did systemize as much as we could, but it was also came to the point where you're dealing with a different class over there, a lot of Section 8, and I grew up on Section 8, but it's also the hood. There's been people murdered, there's been people, drugs, addictions, just craziness, lack of education and ignorance. And so all that to say, when I'm self-managing, I'm still dealing with, people calling up and saying like, hey, I want to rent your place. How much is it? And I'm like, yeah, this is what it is, but tell me more about yourself. Like, what are you doing for work? And they're like, well, I don't work. I was like, cool. Well, how you gonna how you gonna afford this? How you gonna pay rent? And they're like, don't worry about that. I'll get it. It's like, no, that's not that ignorance or whatever the hell you're smoking or you think you're on. That's not going to get you in my house, you know? And because the rent, or I'm sorry, the mortgage cost to me were only a couple $100 a month, I'm okay wasting a couple $100 a month. Even if it's just paying down the mortgage, it's no harm or skin off my back because that ain't anything. Like a couple $100 a month, $200 a month, nothing to me. Not a big deal, right? But I rather the peace of mind of getting my time back instead of dealing with wild calls like that or trying to fill with somebody crazy. That's going to be an issue. And so there's been times that I've had a vacancy for 6 months. There's been times that I should have found a property management company. There's been times that I should have systemized it better if I wanted to keep it. But it's also a area that's not going to appreciate crazy. You know, I've had it for 10 plus years, 10 years, a lot of these properties over there. And at the end of the day, I did make good money on appreciation from all of them and all these other things, but we just got done selling all these properties. My last property that I just got finished selling was just last week. And I say all that because people are asking me like, Brandon, you're crazy. You preach all the time. Like, keep all these properties as long as you can. That's what's going to bless people in the future. Everybody needs to have 3-4 properties minimum, and it's going to set them up. And while I agree with all these things, there's new levels and there's new seasons to everything. And understand where you're putting your time and energy. It's going to dictate what fruits are going to be rewarded and reaped from that, right? So number one, if you're taking notes, write this down. You want to avoid distractions that may be holding you back from your goals and your purpose. Again, while that was incredible, getting an extra $10,000 a month, and I could afford 5-10 hours a month to put towards getting that type of reward 10 years ago was everything to me. It was perfect in that season. Absolutely perfect. No ifs, ands, or buts. Perfect. Okay. But then as we started making millions of dollars and systemizing, growing businesses, it's like, I don't need $10,000. I need $2 million so that I can get to $5 million in tax-free money. Okay. So there's understanding, avoid these distractions that camouflage themselves as something that's blessing you and helping you. While it did in a season in the beginning, it's actually hurting me currently if I hang on to these because it takes 4 or 5 hours of my time per month or more sometimes. It takes peace of mind worrying about something that I don't need to worry about. I don't need to deal with any of that anymore. It takes me away from my purpose, which is serving other people in Credit Counsel Elite, and my goals, which is getting financial freedom and being able to set up generational wealth. You know, we have quote unquote financial freedom. Bills are paid. Everything's good. We have more than abundance, overflowing. We have investment money and capital to move around. All these things are great. How do we actually start getting wealthy? Not just quote unquote rich, wealthy, right? So that we have more than enough overflow to be able to set up generational wealth for our kids, right? So avoid distractions and acknowledge them. Just be aware what's actually holding you back from your current goals and purpose. Not your old ones, but your current ones, because things change. Every 6 months, every year, you're updating your vision board, your goals, your inspiration. You know, things change. 10 years ago, shoot, man, everything's completely different from 10 years ago in glorious, amazing ways. Number 2, if you're taking notes, you're going to want to write this down, which I do encourage. Number 2, take inventory. Take inventory. What do I mean by taking inventory? Take inventory, meaning sit down with clarity breaks. Sit down and look outside, like a 30,000 foot view on your life, on your situation, on your circumstances, on your business, as if you're an outside person looking in. If you were to give words of advice, wisdom, guidance, support to yourself, what would you say? See, right now, I get into such a system and such a process of serving so many other people, coaching all these other people in business and in real estate and credit, that it comes off very natural to be in that coaching, arena and that spirit and keep going and serving other people, solving problems. But sometimes it's as simple as slowing down, having a clarity break, and looking at that 30,000 foot view, high level, not working in the business, but on the business, right? That outside view, and just simply taking inventory, doing a little bit of coaching for yourself, right? If you take that clarity break, which they do discuss if you're following EOS journey and level 10 meetings and, as a business to grow and scale a business, I call it the EOS method. I call it like the Bible for business, right? Doing it the proper way. I think having those clarity breaks, taking inventory and looking at your situation from that 30,000 foot view, that outsider approach on in, not working in the business, but on the business, you can start identifying the things that are getting in your way, the distractions, hey, am I following my gut? Am I following my heart? Am I getting in the way of holding myself back subconsciously or unconsciously? Do I know what the heck I'm doing right now? Or am I just self-sabotaging? Right? I read this book last year and I preach about it numerous times on the podcast. I talk about the book 10X is Easier Than 2X, okay, by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardley. 10X is easier than 2X. Now, what this book is, just to do a quick summary within 5 seconds here, is it's basically the 80-20 rule, right? It's the 80-20 rule, identifying, focus on the 20% that's doing well, that's making you the bread and butter, that's doing the best. Cut out the 80%. How do you cut out, elevate, delegate the 80% that's wasting your time so that you can focus back on that 20% and just go ham on that and then turn in another? Like, that's how you're going to 10x. Now you focus after you get down to the 20%. What does it look like then after a while? Where's the 80-20 rule in that? What needs to be elevated and delegated again to be able to get to the next level? What's the 80% in that that's causing you chaos, that's sucking up time, that's not serving you, right? That's how you get to the next level. And so I love that book, the 10X is Easier Than 2X, because it identified the Ohio properties to me last year. It identified the properties that Jen was managing. We grew up poor and misguided and ignorant, and so we always believed hard work and if it's meant to be, it's up to me type of, nobody can do it better than me. Boy, am I wrong about that. We have the most talented individuals within our business. People with crazy degrees. Can't even spell the damn degrees. People doing big boy stuff, big boy and girl stuff, wild stuff. Very proud of each and every one of them. And so being the weakest link on the team it's an accomplishment, because there's nothing weak behind me in general. I have my own strengths and so forth. But what I can tell you is that book opened up a lot to avoid the distractions and realize hey, we had to get rid of the 80% that wasn't serving us. So let's sell all the properties in Ohio. Let's clean that stuff up. So now I have no stress, no headache, no time away from it. And we can cash in on what we did well for 10 years. Cool. Boom. Done with it. Great. Just got done selling the last property last week. Awesome. Same thing with all the Airbnb stuff. We were on vacation at some times, and Jen is handling some fires in the middle of the night doing these long messages. She systemized a lot of that, but still, her having to deal with that, the mental bandwidth, it's well, that's not serving us. Let's elevate and delegate that. That's the 80% that's doing a time suck. Let's get rid of it, And now you just sit in these seasons and realize, cool, now that we're focusing on that 20%, let's look at, after we're in that for a little bit, where's the 80% in this? Where's the 80% that we need to elevate and delegate, right? And it could be as easy. I had an epiphany the other night, just when we had friends over for 4th of July. We were talking about how we would love to eat at home more versus going out, but we had our justification of like, hey, we love, we work at home, we love working, but it's our way of leaving the house, getting out of the house, experiencing new things and testing stuff out and kind of getting, our own justification of like relaxing and soaking up, some random food out and about. But eating out typically isn't always the healthiest, right? And so if I want to focus and prioritize on health, I also need to realize, hey, maybe it's worthwhile to actually invest in a chef, right? That was kind of the epiphany moment of like, hey, I wonder how much a chef could be. You start looking it up, it's like, well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. It's kind of like, in the past we started outsourcing like dog walking and then washing our dog, doing dog baths, right? And then dry cleaning and laundry in general, washing the cars, all these things, they start adding up, cleaning the house, doing the pool and all these cleaning the pool, right? All these things that it's like, moving, not going to do it yourself, like that old school broke mindset, because we can afford to outsource, right? And it's not just affording, it's also about the peace of mind and focusing on the 20%. How do you elevate and delegate, right? One of my friends was making jokes the other day, like, hey, if you're going to move into a $2 million house or even like a $1 million something dollar house, like you can afford $2,000 for a moving crew, $1,500 for a moving crew. It's like, don't be cheap. Like you owe it to your family. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the peace of mind. You owe it to not being beat up and beat down by the end of the day, busting your back, trying to move things. You already have to get things organized in the house, right? Like be smart, outsource, elevate, and delegate. All right. The last takeaway is just get out of the way, right? Get out of the way. What I've come to find is that when I get out of the way, it's easy to micromanage. It's easy to get on top of people. And there is a season and a time and place to really deep dive into the business, micromanage, and make sure that you have people doing it the way that you want it, of course. However, it's not serving you in the longevity of things. I've noticed when I'm not being so hard and critical and aggressive, if I just step out and sit with peace within the business and talking life into the business and the individuals running the business, I've actually seen a stronger reward from it. And so get out of the way and watch the team run the business, run the play the way that you guys practice, the way that you guys have set up. And a good coach can cheer somebody on and cheer the team on for doing, empowering them to run the business and run your department like it is your business and that your life depends on it. And when they do that, they take ownership and they're actually moving forward and with the right steps in motion. It's a really, really good feeling. It really serves people the best. So I think, lastly, they're just getting out of the way, because a lot of people like myself previously, not the new me, but previously, I love to micromanage, love to, trust but verify, make sure that I'm on top of people and just, nobody could do it better than me. And it's like, that's not the case. That's truly not the case. And if you want to be able to get to the next level and not rely on yourself all the time, you want to fire yourself. You want to get out of your own way, get out of the business and make sure that the team is still running things properly. And it's a hell of a good feeling when you get to that point. So anyway, that's my story today. Wanted to share that with you guys. Literally $4.7 million that I could have gotten done a hell of a lot longer ago. But we were very close. We were very, very close to having permits ready. So we are at a point right now that we will be raising about 1.8 million. I'm going to just say $2 million, just make it even. And what's cool behind that is we already have members within Credit Counsel Elite right now that are getting crazy results. And they're like, hey, Brandon, can we just invest $400K with you, $500K, another guy $650? It's like, dang, I wasn't anticipating that. One guy's $50,000, another is $150,000. And I wasn't anticipating that, but it's a good feeling that that I have this opportunity to be able to give to some of our members as a way that they can not just make a return, number two, a safe return that I know is guaranteed. Like they're comfortable and confident. So I feel good knowing like, hey, the money that they're putting towards this, they're going to get an ROI and a good ROI, right? But they're protected because I've been in deals that you get screwed over, right? And that's not a good feeling. And when I'm helping them get all this funding, and if they got screwed over, that'd be even worse, right? So there's learning curves through everything. But what I can tell you is like, they're going to get a good return. I know with confidence they're going to be secured, which is great. And now they get empowered to start doing more real estate themselves and get to see inside of how we do it frequently. It's just an incredible situation all the way around. And that's what I want to do too. I just want to do life with the people that we're helping out and making a huge impact with, because they're the ones that are the most grateful. You know, they're the ones that are just lit up with joy, and they have the strong mindsets, right? They're not the weak mindsets. They have the strong mindsets of like, hey, it's not easy, but it is well worth it. And as they're getting results, they're celebrating and rejoicing in it. And then they also just don't give up. They're fierce. Like they're not quitters. And I love individuals like that. And that's who a lot of our members are. And so even just bringing it up once or twice, like, hey, we got these opportunities coming up. We'll be raising $2 million in August. If you guys are interested, let me know, and put a soft commitment in and say, raise your hand, say like, I'm in, or say, what's up, you know? And so when you get all this attention of like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, it's like, wow, it's overwhelming with just, it's just a really, really cool feeling. So anyway, if you guys, being the bank also, if you're not being the bank and you're doing all the hands-on stuff like an investor, talk about difficult. You always want to be the bank. Being the bank is a place where you can rest assured knowing that you're just hanging on to paper. You're calling the shots of, you make the money moves, you're being the bank, and you're going to get a strong return in a certain amount of months, or, you know, basically months, but like a year, right? And so those terms and conditions and just controlling paper, that's a powerful position to be in. So look, if you're looking to become the bank as well and invest in opportunities as well, we have incredible opportunities coming up here in the beginning of April. We will be raising some capital, about $2 million in total. So if you're serious about that, interested in that, then you always can reach out and see about what that would look like for us to work together on this opportunity coming up. We got 2 different properties. It costs about $300 a square foot to build. One of them is going to be building out 4,000 square feet, and it's going to appraise afterwards. The ARV is $925 a square foot. The other one is building out about 2,850 square feet, and that one's going to appraise for about $1,100 a square foot. I always round down conservatively on income wise and round up on expenses and anticipations and things you overlook sometimes. So we always have a strong buffer in there, but what I can tell you is that there's money going to be available to be able to be spread around, and a great opportunity, low risk. We have over $1 million in equity in basically almost 2 of them. So good news is there's a great opportunity, safe investment, strong investment, and a way that you can put your dollar to work. If you are interested in learning more, just simply reach out. If you're interested in learning how to get access to a lot of funding with these banks and then make a strong ROI and put that to work, I just told you how to put it to work. We have other opportunities as well besides that, but I really want to show you how to get the funding first so that we can focus on your goals, your dreams, and how to do it yourself to be able to start a business, grow a business, and scale a business. Look, to be able to get that type of capital with confidence and boldness, getting up to $500,000 with interest rates as low as 0% and something you can repeat every 6 months, this is power by knowing how to put anywhere from 10 to 50 plus applications in the right order. In the right order, getting up to a 90% approval odds, doing your mass apply over a 30-day time frame. Now, I know there's a lot of numbers in all different areas. Check out creditcounselelite.com. That's all I can say. Go to creditcounselelite.com or check us out on Instagram, Brandon Elliott Investments, or on Instagram, Credit Counsel Elite. And we have free training on there. We do a live webinar every single week you do not want to miss out on. I will give you the meat and potatoes. I'll show you exactly how other members are doing it, how I've done it, how you can do it too. And afterwards, open it up for live Q&A to answer any questions that you may have. We have a free community as well within our brand new Credit Counsel Elite app we've had internally for our members the last 6 months. And we are just opening it up for brand new individuals that aren't members yet, but really looking to get to the meat and potatoes, the raw knowledge in a free community. It's a no-brainer. So check out creditcounselelite.com. Again, that is creditcounselelite.com to be able to learn how you can access up to $500,000 with interest rates as low as 0% and could be repeated every 6 months per person. Look, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Don't make the mistakes that I've made in the past and that I could have made of losing out on almost potentially $4 million plus and just keep on prolonging the situation because I had things in my way. Really take that inventory, right? Understand to avoid the distractions, take that inventory, that clarity break, that 30,000 foot view, get out of your own way and outsource and elevate and delegate all the things that aren't serving you, focusing on the 20%, get rid of the 80%, focusing on the 80-20 rule, and watch it bless you. All right. Love you guys all so much. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast so you get the newest notification every single Monday. We'll catch you on the next episode. Till next time, guys, God bless. Love you guys all so much. Till then. Peace out.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.